Hi.
Good morning, Jose. How are you?
Doing all right. How's your day going so far?
It's Friday, which is nice. I don't have to go in to school, but there's still always other things. I was just talking to somebody else about how now that I'm full time, a lot of
Hmm.
my brain power goes to all this other stuff that I have to do other than the teaching. And it's like, oh yeah, I have to teach too. Like that it becomes almost an afterthought
Hmm.
on top. Like,
How's it? Like, how is it getting used to that?
it's not that bad. I think as an active artist, one that's still trying to make art,
Hmm.
anything that pulls that away from that time feels um, like it takes away from what you actually are meant to do, right?
I feel, yeah, I've been going through something like that very recently too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
considering the job and as a full-time person at a college, right? I shouldn't complain, right? It's the dream. It's the dream. I've achieved the dream. But in achieving the dream, I've always been kind of terrified. Like, what if I actually got it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's been all right. It's just always hard, right, during the school year to find any time. And I think it feels like if you're used to exercising all the time, and it's what makes you feel good and like helps regulate you on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis. If you can't do the art, you get grouchier and grouchier. It's always this pressure, and it never goes away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Like you worked so you can do your real work.
Hmm.
Um, I think maybe that's also partly why people just sometimes just stop. Do you think?
Hmm.
Like I just don't want to deal with any of it. Like trying to balance it out, trying to do it all with the work and your own side work.
Yeah. It feels like just even like you do try to do it all the way, or sometimes it's like just not even being able to do all of it. It's like you just don't want to feel that pressure, you
Yeah.
know, like outside. Yeah. That's why like right now, like that I'm on spring break for teaching, I feel it's like I'm like I have more clarity. I'm like, wow, I'm able to focus and like actually like I've been working on this like children's book, and so I'm like, oh, I can actually think about it and like, get some stuff done.
Right.
Because I'm actually even gonna go start teaching part-time next year because of that.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, that same thing you're talking about. I'm like, I can't. It's like yeah, it's like you feel like a need to do it and just not being able to focus enough time to it. It's like, yeah, I feel to me, it's like it affects my mood a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
And so
think
just being able
you
to
kind
work.
of try and get used to trying to just getting like snatches of time.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult because you're just like, what is happening? And then you do your own little routine, like let me clean this up, let me by the time you like circle into the actual oh no, uh-oh, I'm run out of time.
Yeah.
um, but you also had a little bit of a break while you were recovering from your surgery, right?
Yeah, yeah. And for me that was more like a physical break, it was just kind of good to just to like physically and emotionally like just get back to things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes a lot out of you. It's like using like a different and for me it feels like a different like skill set. And I'm almost like I feel like I'm like like a transmission. You're driving one direction, and then you have to recalibrate and switch gears to go into another one. And so I feel like
Yeah.
I've been doing that a lot.
Yeah. Well, especially you because you're still in your graduate studies and you're working and you're trying to do, all your other side projects.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you do that.
I'm working. Yeah, a lot of managing.
Yeah.
Just a little bit at a time.
And this is your first year teaching, right?
It's my third year
Oh,
teaching.
third year. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's got a little bit easier.
Hmm.
Just figuring out a routine in terms of like you know how it is. Yeah, just get everything down, and then kind of give you more space to innovate. The more like practice you have at it, I guess, which I like.
And so
What
you're
about?
working on some applications. Are those for murals or money or?
Oh yeah, so I got that. Thank you for sending me that application for the City College mural project.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been working on that. So like right before our meeting, I was like, okay, I gotta touch up my artist statement, and you know how applications are fun and all to like fill out.
No, no. I have a friend who's just like she told me like she feels like she's just constantly all she does all day is just resize her images,
Hmm.
whatever resolution that you want. I always find that funny. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, why are you making me resize these things to 800 by 800 pixels?
Yeah,
What's the point of that?
it's so much time doing that.
I know, but I'm not even sure if it matters. Like, what in your, however they set up the application process, does it like, is it so rudimentary that it can't figure it out now? Still, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the ongoing question of like, which I don't know. It just feels like just constant like adjustments to like every application, even though like
Right.
very similar things.
Right. Do you have to think of an idea or concept first, or you just?
It's mostly just present myself and how I fit into the project, and then you can present your. Which what I like about that application is that you don't have to actually design anything just yet. It's mostly based on like your qualifications, which is nice. Because there's been a lot of projects where they want you to design the whole thing, and then they decide whether they want you to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, no, so this was pretty cool in that sense.
Yeah. That'd be great if you could make your mark on your alma mater.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to do that. That'd be a lot of fun. So I'm really putting a lot of thought into like what I put in my application and see how it goes. You just put it out there and you never know.
I think that's so funny that we reconnected the way we did. Not knowing that I was your teacher in design class at LBCC.
Yeah, I just remember like our first meeting just being like so like doped up on the pain meds from the surgery, and I'm like, she sounds familiar, but I don't know. Is it just me or just my brain firing off?
Right, and I guess it was like I was cyber stalking. I was like looking you up, and like, oh, Long Beach City. I was like, oh, I wonder, he was there when I was there. I was teaching there. Let me look through my files. And then I found you at the very end, at the very bottom of the stack. And there was your name. So, I gave you that old, that final project from Composition and Color.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thanks again.
And, I've written that little comment in the back about, driving your own narrative about your own work or something like that. I don't remember what context I gave that feedback to you, but I was wondering if did that ring true in some way, or did you know what I was talking about or referring to?
No, I think it definitely rang true because whether it was like in a group critique or just like us talking about our own artwork, always felt really confident like in doing the technical skill, but I really always needed the practice in terms of like how to talk about my art to other people.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've always struggled with, but I've been able to practice a little bit more here and there. Yeah, so I'm like, it's not something that I feel like it's unfamiliar to me. I'm like, yeah, this probably sounds right.
So you're still in the middle of your graduate studies. How is that going? Like in terms of being able to respond to people in criticism or feedback, or describe your own work?
Yeah, so I just got through my advancement, so now it's like I'm gonna start working on like my thesis project or projects, and so yeah, I feel like all of it's like just you gotta be able to stand up for yourself and be able to pretty much tell people why you're there and why you're doing what you're doing or why it matters to you for that matter.
Yeah.
And so I feel it gets a lot easier. It's like at the same time it's also just it's just words, and I think a lot of times it's like the criticism or the feedback, it's like it can be fruitful because it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's like allows you to be a little bit self-reflective and see if you can actually like take it and turn it and use it to like to make better work.
Right. When I was in school, it felt like forging through fire, like break you down to build you up. I know we've talked about this before. And if you could actually survive all of that, BS, then you can survive anything in the art world. Because that was my experience.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like that. It feels like that's kind of like part of the academic rigor, right?
Yeah.
Of like, okay, we're gonna like toughen you up for so you can survive this. Yeah.
I really did enjoy seeing your artwork at the show on Manzon.
Yours too. Yeah. Thanks for like telling me about it. It's just like it's just good to get some insight in like to why you create the work that you do, and also like I appreciate a lot like the humor you're putting into it. To me, that's like a difficult thing to do. Mm-hmm. It's like because oftentimes it's like you see artwork in a gallery and it's like very serious. It touches on these like very sensitive themes, but then I think the fact that if you can like add a certain sense of humor to it, it's almost like when I see stand up and they broach like these very difficult subjects you're not supposed to talk about.
Yeah.
But then they're able to do it in like they just finesse it in a way. And so when I see your work, I'm like, wow, that's really impressive.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I think humor is a really important part of what I do. Being able to talk about more serious or social issues, and I just really like just goofy, ridiculous stuff. And I feel like the world is scary, ridiculous, and
yeah,
that's the way I kind of process the world. But yeah, I find your work that was in the show like quite lyrical. Yeah, it was quite lyrical. Just slightly kind of dreamy quality to it. But it's one that is very much rooted in, I think, kind of your working class sort of outlook as an artist, right? And then your family background as well. I love the story of how your parents landscaping and cleaning houses, and how you actually started doing murals was through your mom. Was it your mom who made you go to a community meeting?
Yeah,
that's beautiful. I appreciate that, this idea, like you talk about being a journeyman artist, and it's kind of part of your identity, right? It's also part of a kind of political stance in your work as well, and I think that reads through.
No, thank you. No, and I remember like thinking back like our talk about like when we were walking through the museum, we're at the Broad, and I think when we were walking around, I kind of felt a little bit sour about a couple things like going on, just because I think I felt like that uneasiness, this nausea of like not being able to do as much as I wanted to. But then it kind of caused me to reflect and think about like the things that like I picked up from like being at City College and like from other teachers like you, that like you can't pick up outside just like working. It's like it kind of comes, you need like that camaraderie and that experience and like that wisdom that comes from like people who have done it or who are doing it too. So I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, you got to force yourself to go out of the house and talk to people once in a while. I think you should not look at me as a good example. But yeah, that was fun. It's good. I really enjoyed the Broad show. Oh yeah, you didn't go in there, the Kentridge show, but still though.
Yeah, I want to go back, and that was like my first time in a museum since like before the pandemic and quarantine. So it was nice just getting out. I'm hoping to just do it more. Yeah, is there anything you're working on currently right now?
Started a painting. it's another cheesy painting.
Hmm.
During the winter break, I bought this 2-tiered cake. Kind of looks like a bad wedding cake. And then I, got my nacho cheese sauce and did the whole photo shoot. So I've started that. I've got this Open Studios event coming up next month, and I need to give the illusion that I've been very productive. So I need to get into this painting, so at least I have one or two things that look like they're in process, right? It's the facade of building the set in my garage studio. The active artist, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna put up and make it look busy. She's been working hard.
Throw some pencil shavings on the ground, dip some brushes in some water, leave them in there for a week or two.
It's true. I'm little, I'm Asian, right? Temperamentally, I'm a kind of quiet person in many ways, I'm fruity. And so a lot of people are like, oh, you don't look like an artist, right? You should be a librarian, or who wants to buy artwork, from me when I look like this? So yeah, you've got if your studio's too neat,
you haven't been working.
It looks suspicious.
Yeah.
If it's too grimy, you're like, that's too scary. So build a set. Artfully cluttered.
I know, they should people should do that as a business. Just go in there and
staging houses.
Staging, yeah.
Stage your studio.
Stage your art studio.
That's what I've got to do before this event.
Yeah, we have an open studio coming up, so I need some help.
Bring in some half-finished canvases. Mist with turpentine or some mineral spirits.
Oh yeah, right. Just
oil with essence of linseed oil. Just sprinkle it around so it smells oily. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to figure out where can I start this event.
Yeah, all too common. It's just every time you invite anybody, it's oh, okay, I have to clean up a little bit.
Right.
Because you can't really no, you don't really want to see how it really looks like.
Right, at the bad times, it's just let me just kick this over. That's when you're most productive, though. It's just a mess.
Yeah. It's when you have 3 coffee cups on the same table because forget to wash them. All right, and all that weird stuff that builds up.
Yeah. I cleaned it. I kind of did some stuff, and then I've got new lights. I moved my painting corner over, which was kind of traumatic. I don't know if I like it, but yeah. Then it was then nothing was happening. It was so fun to connect again.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, it was a great it was a good honor for me to be in the show with you.
Oh no, I'm so happy to see you that you're working, and it's so amazing that all the things you've been doing and all the murals and MFA and what is it? You're doing a book illustration. I mean, that's I'm so proud of you. That's so fantastic.
Yeah, you might get an email from me because I'm looking for feedback.
No, absolutely. Feel free, and I will definitely let you know about what I'm doing, and feel free to contact me, and we can meet up again or whatever. Yeah, and it's so good to see how the gallery owners also have students and everything else, and I think Rebecca Rose. So it's been quite fun to see how I'm so impressed by so many of these Long Beach City students are doing so well.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Feels good to be part of a nice cohort over there.
Yeah, absolutely.